I think a lot about investment advisors, financial planning. It's what I do for a living. Every week I have the luxury and the privilege of doing a radio show. And the radio show is just conversations about what people are dealing with when it comes to retirement, or if you're close to retirement. And one of the big things that I think is anybody's going to be faced with as they make this transition into retirement would be, should I work with a financial advisor? Or if you're currently working with a financial advisor, or you're working with the right financial advisor. And I get that question quite a bit when I'm sitting down with people that are retired or very, very close to it. It's an interesting question because when you ask an independent financial advisor if they think that your current financial advisor is the right financial advisor, that's kind of an odd question, right? So you're asking one financial advisor if maybe they should replace your current financial advisor, or if you ask a financial advisor, who should I be looking for when it comes to a financial advisor, or what criteria should I look at? It's a complicated question, and it would be hard to ask, I think, a financial advisor because you're worried about the answer that you're going to get. And then obviously most financial advisors would enjoy the privilege of working with you. So you wonder sort of how sincere the answer would be. So what I love about doing radio around the country and talking to people is, yes, of course, I mean, as an independent financial advisor, of course, I would like to work with the majority of the people that reach out to us. But at the same time, I understand that everybody is an individual. Not everybody's going to like my personality. Not everybody's going to agree with our investment philosophy. Not everybody's going to, everybody is unique and everybody is an individual. So I want to be very, very sort of open with the question and just say, well, I've been doing this for a long time. I understand the financial services industry. I understand how the majority of the companies out there work. I understand what their investment philosophy is, or their business model, so to speak. So when people ask me that question, what I want to do is just try to lead them in the right direction. The right direction is typically information. Most people, as they're making a transition into retirement, are a little scared. A little bit intimidated is probably a better word. It's intimidating. There's a lot of information. People will constantly walk into a financial advisor's office and just lay a bunch of statements and facts and figures, and they'll put it all on the table, and they feel almost naked, right? They feel like, well, I've just put everything on the table in front of you, and now you're going to judge decisions that I've made over time, investment decisions, and I can't tell you how many times somebody's come into a meeting with me and I'm having a conversation and they'll say something like, well, you're probably not going to like what I've done, or you're probably not going to agree with it, or I know I did really, really terrible, and all of these things. And the reality is that's all water under the bridge. It's all past tense. Whether I would have done that or whether another financial advisor would have done it doesn't really matter. What matters is everything moving forward. So when you get into a situation on how do you choose the right financial advisor for you, there's certain key things that I like. I can tell you what I don't like for starters. I'm not a big fan of the big banks. I don't dislike the advisors at the big banks, but I'm pretty familiar with how it works. I'm pretty familiar with their financial plans. And if you work for a big corporation, not just a bank, it could be any big corporation, maybe you're not even an investment advisor. Corporations have a business model, and if you're an advisor for a huge corporation or a huge bank, you're going to become a product of that business model. You're going to become a product of that environment that you're in. Those environments are typically, will build a diversified portfolio for you. Just hang in there. Don't worry about it. So my experience when it comes to the investment services industry and being an independent financial advisor is I like active management of portfolios. So if I'm looking for a financial advisor, I'm not saying advisors at the big institutions are bad. I just think I would want a more personal relationship, right? I don't think I'd want a big bank relationship or a big financial firm relationship. I would be looking for an advisor that, if I'm retired or close to it, I think I'd be looking for an independent advisor that focused on individuals that were retired or close to it. I don't think I would want to work with an advisor that was working with everybody. Somebody in their 20s or 30s has a very, very different objective than somebody that's in their 50s or 60s or 70s or even 80s. It's very different. It's the difference between growth oriented, I don't care as much about volatility because my income comes from employment, to yes, I'm growth oriented, but I'm also income oriented. I am more worried about volatility. I am more worried about income. I am more worried about all the concerns in retirement are very different than the concerns if you're just growing a portfolio. I think I would be looking for an advisor that didn't have an affiliation with a particular firm. So there are plenty of fantastic independent financial advisors out there, but usually they're going to use custodians. And so custodians are companies like Fidelity or Charles Schwab, TD Ameritrade. The idea there is these advisors aren't compensated by the custodian. And so in our practice, one of the things that we do is we'll use custodians like Fidelity or Charles Schwab. So one of the things that I think is valuable is that if somebody were to come to me and they said, hey, Mike, where is money invested for your clients? The answer would be, well, it's at Fidelity or it's at Charles Schwab. They might ask me, well, what's the difference between working with you and your custodian is Fidelity or Charles Schwab versus me just going to the Charles Schwab office or the Fidelity office? Well, there's two sides to those companies. And the reality is I'm not an employee of Charles Schwab. I'm not an employee of Fidelity. So if you find an independent financial advisor that's utilizing custodians, but they're not an employee of a big firm, you're hopefully at that point eliminating sort of a conflict of interest, right? I would be looking for an independent financial advisor that could hold my assets at a place that was safe, but I wouldn't want them to be compensated by that custodian because then they might be incentivized to promote, whatever that large firm's product was. And so as I walk through the process of trying to find the right financial advisor, I would just go through several key things. I would want them to be an independent financial advisor. I would want them to, the word gets used a lot, but be a fiduciary. Fiduciary just means they have to put your best interest ahead of their own. I would be looking for a fee-only financial advisor. Fee-only means the advisor gets paid a fee to manage your portfolio. They're not likely to be promoting products that pay commissions. Again, eliminating incentive to promote products, that sort of a thing. And then I would be looking for an advisor that was going to custody assets at a company, like, again, a custodian like a Fidelity or a Charles Schwab or something like that, so that it was an independent relationship. As an investment advisor, it's interesting to give clients advice about what you would be looking for in an investment advisor, but I would want that advisor to be independent. I would want them to be incentivized for me to do well, and I would want a relationship that had a lot of communication moving forward. Thank you for watching. Go to guardingyournestegg.com for your free and objective personal financial plan.